Welcome to the Art of Custom Season 9. Today, we're moving to the next step of the construction process, the one when the build stops being polite and starts getting real. Lance Berman from PRIMO Construction in northern Utah joins Kim to discuss the good bones that make a high-performance home. Enjoy!
Good bones.
Great structure.
The space just flows. I'm sure you're nodding along, right? You knew everything that we meant. Except, did you really? Because the bones of a home are more than just a feeling. They're the culmination of real decisions made by real people using real lumber. And what separates good bones from great bones is something you can see and feel from day one and 20 years later. Really is a huge part of building for a client because it's such a visual part of the build melody. You know, every time we go out to a job site and get to see the trusses that are swinging, windows being installed, it really is fun to watch. And it's really fun when your clients are there and they're excited about the process and everything. But you know what? There are so many things happening in this phase that people really can't see. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today.
Right. And Lance is an expert in invisible, but
yes,
very visible.
And you're talking about Lance Berman from
Yes.
PRIMO Construction. He's our framing contractor out in northern Utah. We've been using Lance now for several years. And I think everybody should enjoy this interview because they'll learn why he's such a team player, but they'll also learn that he's a huge perfectionist. So he's kind of like Hibbs Homes in a way.
Quick question, because in the next episode, we're going to be talking a little bit more in depth with this, but how did we connect with Lance up there?
We connected with him through one of our superintendents who happened to run into him and started a conversation with him. And we were asking around, quite frankly, when we moved into that market several years ago, we were asking around who the better framing contractors are because it's such an important part of what we do. We talked about how important foundation was earlier. We wanted to make sure that if we're marketing ourselves as one of the best builders in that market, we wanted to make sure we were using the best subcontractors. So it did not take us long to find him. And he has been just such a wonderful person to work with, not only for the quality of his work, but just because he's such a good person and a helpful person. And he kind of took us in under his wings, if you will, and really helped us learn the market. It's just been a great relationship all the way along. He's not just a sub, as we talked about. He's really earned a place on our Hibbs Homes team because of our relationship, because of our trust in him, and frankly, the standard that goes well beyond the average for framing contractors. And what I like most about him, he's just a great guy. Lance, it's obviously a pleasure to have you join us. For those of you who don't know, Lance and PRIMO are our go-to framing contractor in our northern Utah market. So Lance and I have gotten to know each other quite well over the past few years. Lance, you and your team do a simply outstanding job for us, and obviously we're very grateful for that. We wanted you to come on and share some of your background, share some of your experience, and talk about the importance of the framing process, if you will. So you've got such a unique background, you and your family. Tell us a little bit about that background first, if you would.
You bet. First off, Kim, thank you for the opportunity. I mean, we discuss about how we've helped you out. In all reality, you've given us the opportunity to help you out, right? And we have to earn that trust that we've distilled in a lot of our clients, our contractors, to be able to do this. So thank you, Kim. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because there's always somebody with a better price, Kim. There's always somebody who's going to beat you up on that. At the end of the day, it's a relationship you build with a trust, right? And that's exactly puts me into the story of how I got where I am. Our family is built on the integrity and backs against the wall in the worst situations. And how do you come out of it? And your integrity is everything, which falls right in line with honesty and transparency and all the other great things that come with it. I mean, my background in construction started at an early age. My dad had multiple companies, masonry, obviously GC. And I mean, we just got to go through the ranks of some of the toughest labor stuff up to the really, really high-end finish stuff. And it's really enjoyable to be a part of it, Kim. And we're so fortunate as I walked through a couple of these different parade homes in Utah Valley last week. A lot of people may think it's silly, these jobs we're doing, the big nature of them, the cost. But at the end of the day, we're so lucky to be able to have a client base that puts the money they do into these jobs, gives us the opportunity to go above and beyond what these normal track or, affordable style living has. So I've been fortunate enough in my process to be able to incorporate all this in and provide a product to somebody like you, Kim, that you can then confidently turn around and tell your homeowners. And our sky's the limit when there's obviously trust in the process. These numbers are large as we go into these contracts, and you have to know that the person you're getting in bed with in it has got your back through thick and thin. So developing a great team.
Yes, and you bring up a very good point, and I don't want to lose sight of that because these numbers are large, and sometimes when you talk to a client, sometimes their reaction might be, did you get multiple bids? What do you know about this contractor? This bid might seem high to me. But I think that we have a responsibility to talk to our client about the importance of our relationship that we've developed over the years, the importance of finding the right framing partner, if you will, structural partner, if you will, because it is so important to what we're doing. A previous episode of our podcast, we talked about the foundation, but right after foundation, framing is equally as important. So it's vital that we choose the right framing partner.
To follow up on that, Kim, you're exactly right. It's huge. And the reason being is, like I said earlier, you can obviously find somebody cheaper at any point in time, right? There's always going to be a number higher or lower. But at the end of the day, these customers, these clients are moving into a house. The reason they're building it is because they are going to build equity within that house after they move in. So a few bucks here or there can look deceiving or can look uncomfortable at the front. But at the end of the day, you're looking for a house that's built to stand the test of time. And in order to do that, you got to have people in place to do that, Kim. You got to have people in place that you trust in order to make this process a reality, not 1 year, not 5 years, 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the road. And in order to do that, it starts with the foundation. It does. It starts with the crews you bring on board. It starts out with the scanning and the surveying processes that we do and we implement. And we do try to go above and beyond because we know every extra factor we put into place, Kim, will pay dividends for not only you, but for us down the road with word of mouth reputation, which is really what we build on here.
100%. And that's why it's important to trust the builder. And one of the things we try to educate those listeners to our podcast, and we have listeners all across the country, we try to help them understand the custom building process. And one of the things is you have to learn to trust your builder. If the builder says, this is the framing crew I want to use, this is the foundation crew I want to use, insulation, drywall, you need to learn to trust them, even if it might cost them a few bucks more, because it's that finished product. Like you say, we want to build these homes that are going to last 100 years. We want to build these homes that are going to perform exceptionally well, extremely efficient, extremely durable. And that's why you hire the builder. And you've got to trust the builder to hire partners like you from a subcontractor base that is going to meet those same standards.
And to second that, Kim, you're absolutely right. And at the end of the day, how fortunate we are to work with these clients that have the financial availability to build these also comes with its complications. And I'm not trying to knock any of these architects or engineers or me or you or anybody, but at the end of the day, to think that you're going to build a 10, a 20, a $30 million home and not have complications throughout the process daily would be absolutely absurd. You're going to have them. It's how you work through those problems that are very, very beneficial to your team and the reputation you build. That's where we really try to strive, Kim. I want people to know that I'm not trying to pick apart the architects and engineers, but I want to be able to get in front of it based on experience and previous jobs with them to find their strong and weak points in order to expose those for you to potentially have an easy conversation with the homeowner months before it's a rough conversation with the homeowner.
This is an interesting conversation, Lance, because you've led me right into my next topic. And that topic happens to be when we're talking about a framing crew, you might think, oh, okay, they're the ones that erect all the lumber and put the roof on the house. And we go, you guys do a heck of a lot more than that. What responsibilities do you all have on the job sites? And what are some of those tough decisions that you get involved with when it comes to the framing process that most clients probably don't even know about?
I was wanting to interrupt in every part because I don't want to forget all the trains of thoughts I have on it. But at the end of the day, the simplest way I can put this for everybody that may be listening or wanting to learn on this is 6, 8, 10 years ago, from the duration of estimating the job to the build was about a 2 to 4 month period. Right now, it's about a 8 to 14 month period, depending on the job. Now, when I say that the time lapse, it's not because the house has grew exponentially in size. It's because it has got more complicated throughout the build. And there's a lack of information on certain areas that require a ton of pre-con meetings up front to get ahead of them. So to answer your question on what our process is now, we will get a plan depending on the nature, the size of the plan. We're going to start diving in to find preliminary problems. We're really going to start encompassing a build layout similar to our modeling layout, but it's a constructability model. So what it would be is I would get ahead of this, and my surveying modeling team would meet with architects, not so much to come and scan foundations as much as it is to just get ahead of the actual curve of what problems could be happening throughout that. And the reason being is if I can get on the front side of those, Kim, 2, 3, 4 months ahead, I can really save those delays once it starts. Because once the process starts, it's really hard to tell anybody, hey, this could be an extra month. This could be an extra 2 months. No homeowner wants to hear it, and no builder wants to hear it. So my job now is to try to get ahead of those, Kim, and foresee the problems that could be happening.
The communication component, which we talk to all of our clients about, is not only critical between the builder and the client, but the builder and the subcontractor, trade partner, the framing partner that we're using. I know that our team has an enormous amount of communication with you from the time we first send you the plans and you take a look at them. You do dive in and you try to look at them to find out, okay, where could the problems lie? Where might we be able to simplify things a little bit? And that is communicated back to our director of construction, our project managers. And this is a process that starts early on and helps the success of the project very easily.
Couldn't agree with you more, Kim. I mean, communication on the front lines, the transparency that needs to happen is vital to have success on the tail end.
It's not just about a number. It's the relationship and the number that matters, and the client has to trust the builder. Because this is a very emotional time. I mean, everybody's excited. You've gone through clearing. The foundation is in the ground. You start to framing. You see everything start to take shape. Everybody, including the client, is very excited. And so you want to keep that excitement going. During that phase, what do you typically see clients experiencing? Is there ever a point where frustration could possibly happen if, oh, I thought that room was going to be bigger, or, oh, I didn't realize that ceiling was not as tall as it was? What are some of the frustrations you might have seen?
I mean, honestly, my answer to this is going to be bounced all over the place, because one thing that we are seeing more so now than ever is not a lot of hands-on with the actual owners or client base as much as it is an owner's rep or somebody that is supplementing for them, right? So not to say that we don't see those issues. For me, what I've experienced in my 21 years is if you bring a number to the table to the homeowner that is significantly out of line from what they thought it was, that pill is never easy to swallow. It doesn't matter the duration or when it's happened on the job, right? So the communication up front and the transparency of what it potentially could be or what the problems you could run into, so that that line of communication is opened with the homeowner prior to the job or that situation happening, is huge, because it's just one preparation instead of a boom, big dump full on them, right? For me, the clientele base that I've worked around, at least the homeowners, they've always been pleasant to work with because it is exciting. And also, I do believe a lot of the homes we're building, those homeowners are at the right age where they can appreciate a lot of the best parts of the build, right? They understand it. They comprehend it. Outside of the number game, they're usually very happy to see progress. They're either sticks going in the air, shapes conforming. Now, as far as size of rooms, I haven't taken to heart a lot of people going in and saying anything of that nature, but I know it happens, especially after sheetrock. Everything kind of shrinks up. Everything kind of divides out, and they wonder what happened to their space.
It's one of the things that we've dealt with in both of the markets in which we build, I think, is especially after, like you say, the drywall, the sheetrock phase. That's when it seems like most everybody starts to have a little bit more angst about some of the room sizes. But you know what, Lance, you guys do more than just frame. I mean, you're responsible as well for the structure itself. That's one of the things that we enjoy about working with you is these homes that we're building are more about lumber, framing lumber. They're about steel. They're about timbers. There's a lot that goes into those. And there's a reason that you want to be responsible for the integration of that material into our build. So why is it important for you to handle that as well?
Well, years ago, Kim, I understood that I'm a bit of a perfectionist in the sense of I want the job to be completed the way that I was either told to have it done or I told them I was going to have it done. And in order for me to do that, Kim, I have to be able to control what I'm doing. In order to control what I'm doing, I need to keep it in-house. I need to be able to power the situation forward, shut it down, get new stuff, whatever that may be. That's where the level of trust that you guys have given me and my other builders have in order to let me handle it and not have my foot on the outdoor asking all the time to get in. I want to be able to control my labor. I want to be able to control my metal, my timbers, my applications, my interfacing of the two, the connections of them, how it ties into concrete, the implementation of concrete embeds with the foundation guys. We're right now just teaming up with the foundation crew, Kim. I mean, the reason is because at the end of the day, if I don't have control over the front side of the foundation, I can't promise the back side of what I'm installing. So it's just one more step of me implementing a system that is as bulletproof as I can for what I preach. In order to do that, I have to be able to control what I do.
And again, this is another perfect example of finding the right builder, the right trades. It's not always about the bottom line price. There are many wonderful architects across the country, in the northern Utah market, the St. Louis market, wherever. They play an important role. But it's also very important that on plans that have never been built before, it requires a number of set of eyes for people to find things that could go wrong. And to your earlier point, try to identify them up front and come up with a solution before the project even begins.
You're 100% right. These are not factory generic houses that we're building, right? Which means they haven't been perfected for the most part over a multiple build series. These houses, these architects are doing, and the architects are wonderful. It's a vision. It's an aesthetic from a homeowner that they're trying to please, which means they're implementing a vision aesthetically that they need to now build in some of the most geographically tough places to build, which is our area. We can swoop from 30 below to 70 degrees in a matter of a month's time, which has giant factors into our materials we're using. So the way I look at it, Kim, is I wish I could tell every homeowner, listen, this house is beautiful, but it's never been done before. So we're coming in here with the best educated guests to build this. And you bet your butt there's going to be some modifications that need to happen in the process. As long as they trust you, you're honest with them, you should be able to work through any of those. And hopefully mitigation on the front side from someone like us or you guys to catch any real big problems can save that really tough argument and a financial problem down the road. But every one of these architects are great at what they do, Kim, but they're still reinventing the wheel on each custom house they build. They're not rocket scientists when it comes to every single detail. And you bet your butt that not every single detail actually plays a part in every job. So sometimes you get the ones with the details are 2 pages and sometimes they're 25 pages. And a lot of times that is left up to the person in the field to figure that stuff out, Kim, which is us in most cases, which we're totally fine to do. But it takes a level of trust with your team in order to see us complete these and trust the process that we're doing them as efficiently as possible. It's all time and money. And at the end of the day, that's what the client's looking for the bottom end dollar.
What we try to do, Lance, on our end is get together with our partners and come up with, okay, here's what the issue is. Here are 2 or 3 options that we can go to the client with, try to have some pricing information if possible. That's one of the takeaways, I think, for those listening is if you're interviewing a builder, ask them, how do you handle problems during framing? What's your process for that?
Solutions. That's a big deal right there, Kim. I mean, every one of these jobs is going to have an issue. You got to be able to work through those issues, have the best solution or multiple on the table to go through.
So when you guys come across something that you know in the field, you're working, you're framing, you see there's a problem coming up, how do you teach your crews in the field to handle it?
We do the very best documentation we can. We are big on written documentation, whether that's text or email, in order to implement factual evidence, whether that's pictures, conversations with supers or yourself or homeowners, in order to stand behind so we don't look like fools when we talk about a phone call that was had. We want to be very diligent about factual, written stuff in order to move forward. And most of the time, my guys, their eye is always set to look for any structural problems. Structural stuff is the stuff that is really hard to come back and fix, way more so than your cosmetic. So my guys are keen in on details on the plan structurally to make sure that there's no errors that come out that can go down the road and be missed that can be catastrophic to a fix.
Framing is critical as we get down to start thinking about the finishes of the home. Everybody wants a beautifully finished home, the best of the best, but it really does start at framing, straight walls, plumb walls, level floors. So walk us through some of the important aspects that you and your men pay attention to make sure that when we as builders get to the finish of a home, we're working with the best of the best so the finishes we can provide are going to be beautiful.
This last half a decade or more, the implementation of a ton of level 5 finish sheetrock, curved jams, jamless doors, seamless header systems, the stuff that is dang near perfection to a laser, not even the human eye, is becoming a normalcy in these houses. So in order to do that, I try to be very transparent up front with these builders to let the homeowners know the one way to achieve it, guaranteed on our end, is to use engineered products. I can't guarantee anything with Doug Fir. It's a live product. It can move, it can swell, it can twist, it can turn. If we can implement these engineered products or steel applications, we can really save this builder warranty work for years to come. Obviously, there's an implemented cost up front, an additional cost. Based on our evaluation over the last 10 years and fixes from the last 6 years or more, we figure it's about a 4 to 6 year payoff on just coming back to do drywall pop, anything that could be influenced by product malfunction, lumber malfunction, sheet malfunction, swelling, waterproofing, anything of that nature. Using engineered studs will guaranteed save the builder headache with warranty work down the road.
And at a minimum, maybe not use them throughout the entire house, but pick the most important locations, the kitchens for cabinets, the great rooms with tall walls and hallways and some of those areas. But that's a very good point, and one that, again, a lot of people are going to look at, okay, what's the cost difference? And do I want to pay the difference between the standard studs or the engineered studs? You bring up a very good point and a very compelling reason to seriously consider the engineered material.
Well, and obviously the level of the finish of the house should dictate those for the most part, Kim, right? I mean, very traditional homes 10, 15 years ago with big base and big case around windows and doors. It wasn't as crucial with the wholly smooth finish on sheetrock or a plastered Venetian style wall to have a perfectly laser strung wall because it wouldn't have been noticed otherwise. Now you start going with perfectly smooth level 5 sheetrock. You've got your Riglet with the shadow lighting and all this stuff out there now that it's causing for perfection at the highest level. You have to use perfect products in order to achieve it.
But I will also say, Lance, that if that's not in the cards, or I should say not in the budget, you and your men do a really nice job of at least coming back and walking the house with a straight edge and correcting studs, whether it's shaving them or replacing them or whatever you need to do. So there are things that you can do if you don't go the engineered stud route, correct?
We implement it no matter what, with engineered or with. We are stringing and level plumb bobbing every single wall towards the 4-way finish before the insulation and sheetrock goes on. It's the last time to change it and perfect it, so we are going to hit that opportunity every time.
Is there anything that I've missed during this conversation, or is there anything that would be good information to pass on to those thinking about building or building the way we build? Are there things that might be important for them to consider, special blocking or anything, special support for, really heavy islands or fireplaces, which is most of the time engineered? I get that. But is there anything that would be helpful for you to share with potential clients or those considering building their own custom homes?
I'd do exactly as you had said earlier in this podcast, Kim. You get a hold of the builders you're looking to interview. You talk to their references. You walk around their houses. You talk to the previous clientele they built for. The experience they have is going to be worth way more than the extra or lessened cost of the build. Because like you said, there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of emotion going into these builds. They're big. They're troublesome. They can be devastating in some situations. So talk to them. See what kind of experience you had. At the end of the day, the honesty and the integrity that a good builder is going to give you is going to be, in my opinion, the deciding factor of who you should choose, because they're going to have your back through thick and thin. Secondly, for me, as far as a framing contractor, The big thing I try to take a ton of pride in, Kim, is treating everybody as they're a part of the team. For me, incentivizes them to be invested in my team. And when they're invested in your team, they're going to look out for everybody, not just Primo, not just Hibbs. They're going to have the best interests of everybody in mind. So I encourage people to be involved, get in there, talk to your employees, let them know that they're valued at the highest and lowest level. And as far as what we do structurally, Kim, in my area, in Park City, Wasatch Front, envelope security is huge. And there is a ton of emphasis being put on this envelope security, whether that be fiberglassing pucks or thermal braking systems. You guys are kind of a standout right now doing a lot of your liquid applied membrane on the exteriors. That's the stuff, Kim, that can be catastrophic to try to fix down the road. Therefore, implementing it in the stages it needs to be, even though it costs a little extra, is such good advice and it's so solid to do, because fixing that can be catastrophic. So envelope security for me is huge in this area. And you guys do a dang good job of that.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. And Lance, I appreciate the time you've given me. You are simply the best. Our relationship with you over the past several years has been one that I treasure and I'm very thankful for. You and your men do an awesome job. We love having you on our job sites. You have been so kind to us with your time over the years, your expertise over the years as we came into the Park City market. I've enjoyed the friendship we've developed as well. The work you guys do on the job site is second to none. And for that, I say thank you. And thank you for your time today, Lance. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.
Lance really gave us a lot to think about today. And honestly, most of it comes back to just one thing. There's always going to be someone with a better price. But framing really isn't about a number. It's about who shows up, the standards to which they hold themselves to, and whether the relationship between your builder and their trades is strong enough to catch problems before they become your problems. The walls that are stood up, every decision Lance and his crew made about the structure, about engineered product, about the building envelope, and about the walls being straight and plumb right before everything gets covered up, you're not going to see any of it, chances are, but you are going to feel it and experience it for as long as you live there. And that is what good bones actually means.
Have any questions about the process or ideas for future episodes? Bring them to us. Email podcast@hibbshomes.com, call 844-HIBBS-20, or find us at Reddit at r/Art of Custom Building. The Art of Custom is produced by Hug Monster Sound. Our editor is Sarah Fink, with original music by Adam Frickfordine. Thanks for listening.